Ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome you here to Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps in the small country of Belgium. We're going to be running Formula 2 here at the circuit. A pair of Formula 2 races. One of them will be a 50% feature length and one of them will be a 50% sprint. Beforehand though, we will have a 30-minute qualifying session. We're looking at approximately 15 drivers for today's race as everyone is beginning to ready up, so a little bit smaller field than what you typically see for an XRL F1 event, but we can still see quite a bit of interesting things here. A big thing with F2 is that a main thing to take away from F2, I should say, is that pretty much everything when it comes to chassis and aerodynamics are pretty close to spec, and there's not really a whole lot of independent development amongst the teams. The chassis are all Dallara chassis, so we could be looking at a little bit tighter grid than normal here, but on the other hand, we have drivers from the development lane, we have drivers from X3, X2, X1, officials, all sorts of people come together to try and run this series. It's a little bit newer for XRL, a little bit more experimental, but we could be looking at a very interesting race irregardless here as we're preparing to load onto the circuit here. Again, smaller field, about 15 drivers today. 30 minutes, so everyone has about 2 minutes that we could spend doing nothing but focus on them, but we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to try and focus on whatever is interesting on the circuit here as we load up Belgium. One of my favorite circuits, one of the greatest circuits I think that has ever been brought to the world. It's gone through quite a few changes over the years, though way back in the day, back in the 50s, 60s, very early part of this, 50s and 60s primarily, it was a much, much larger track sprawled all over Belgium. It honestly felt like a high-speed, full throttle all the time, paved rally circuit or like a motorcycle track. But the good news is the real core elements of this circuit has held true since the very start, and that's its extreme focus on speed and extreme focus on fast, flowy, yet technical sectors. Most notably, obviously, being Al Rouge, but you also have a whole lot of other areas throughout the circuit here. Later on this week, the Development League will be running here on Saturday, as will X1 on Sunday and X2 later the same day on a Sunday as well. But for right now, F2 looks like it will be the first significant event that we will have in the series here. Of our 15 drivers, XRL Azda, who makes appearances in the Development League and also sometimes in the booth with me. Beard Boost, who is a very frequent, strong competitor in the X2 series. Aoi and Snake, both of them are drivers who run X3. LDT Davi, I will admit, I do not know where he normally comes from on the top of my head. Possibly X1, but I could be wrong there. Please forgive me if I am. XRL Patriot, who also makes appearances in X3. XRL Sack, Zola, and Ledger, all of those three all have some level of officiating spots within the Extreme Racing League division as a whole. Dedger, who shows up in X2 and X3 a bit. Kinsey Retro, who does the broadcasting for X1 races, is jumping into the driver's seat for today's event. Here's Elfin Starfish. He's the very first driver to get onto the circuit. Starfish has been making appearances in X3 recently. A. Waddington, again, I think he might be an X1 driver, but I might be wrong there. Tino Farah, who's recently made his debut in X3 and has also made some appearances in the Dev League, and XRL Whippy. So again, about 28 minutes left in the qualifying session. Car is not nearly as strong or as powerful as what you would see in a traditional Formula 1 car, obviously, but we can still have some very interesting races here. Also, you'll notice, just looking at it, you'll see some of the key designer differences between these cars and what you would have in a Formula 1 car. There's not really a large shark fin on the back end of these cars. It's a lot more traditionally rounded on the back end. There's XRL Patriot, who's running number 6. Again, no segmented qualifying this in the F2 races. It's all just one giant shootout for qualifying here. There's track out. About half the field is currently out onto the circuit right now. There's XRL Sack. He's riding the Renault machine. Oh, and someone has had a little bit of an incident there. It looks like he's back underway. That is XRL Azda. Here's Elfin Starfish across the line. And he will be the first driver to put down a clean lap, assuming nothing goes AWOL this lap here. It's a really tight pit lane exit. Not really the biggest fan of it myself. And that's XRL Ledger moving over. So that way there's a little bit cleaner room. In fact, we're going to go ahead and spin... Oh, and Whippy has apparently been knocked out of the session. Whippy has had an accident going uphill at the exit of Radion. Right on board Dedgar. We'll see it from Dedgar's perspective. We can see what may have happened to Whippy's car. You can see him off circuit right there. And yeah, it looks like the car twitched out on him as he came up out of the Al Rouge Billion complex, went around, totaled the car completely. So Whippy, it's going to be a long 26-minute wait before he can get to racing, and he will probably start at the very bottom end of the field. Whippy's been a significantly consistent feature in the X3 series. Kind of a shame to see him knocked out so early here. Here's XRL Snake. Snake has begun his outlap and is going to try and set down a flying lap relatively shortly as he's readying up. He does have another vehicle behind him, and Tino Farah also has apparently dropped out of the session as well. And I'm trying to see what happened there. No real idea what happened to Tino Farah. The two dropouts very early here in the session. We're going to spin a lap just right on board with Elfin Starfish. Silent here so you can really hear what an F2 engine sounds like running full bore here. No, we aren't, because Starfish is pulling over and going extremely slow across the line. So a lot of interesting developments here early on. No one has set a full-on flying lap yet. Here's XRL Ledger. Now he is, or was, the next driver set to put a flying lap down, but he has invalidated his current lap. Then you have XRL Sack. More than likely, Sack will be the first person to set a flying lap down. So he's coming across the line now. Well, not now. He's coming through the final chicane now. Bring that Renault-sponsored car across the line. XRL Sack will set the initial benchmark of the day, 157.336. You can see, as I was saying earlier about the shark fin, there is still a sort of shark fin, but it's not nearly as extreme or as erratic as what you see in a more traditional Formula 1 car. Although, to be fair, it kind of draws attention to itself in the way that it doesn't properly connect to the rear wing of the car. This is XRL Azda. We'll ride on board with Azda for a lap so you can hear what it's like running full bore here at Spa-Francorchamps in an F2 machine. Oh! Well, it looks like he's invalidated his lap. Very difficult to keep it fast and smooth, but still legal up there in the Radion and Al Rouge section there. Still one of the more technical and trying corners in most of racing. That's one of the reasons why I like it so much. Here's LDT Davi. Now, he was on an outlap because he is abandoning his run and will attempt to try and do something a little bit different, potentially. Here's Elfin Starfish. Same scenario, he's abandoning his run after he invalidated his lap. A lot of these cars kept very, very light on fuel. They're only having enough fuel to go maybe one or two full bore flying laps. After they invalidate one of their laps, that can end up sending them back a significant amount of time. However, one second. However, the advantage to running these smaller, lighter F2 cars in one giant session is that there's not nearly going to be as much of a hardcore run and risk of damaging the car trying to get a lap in a very short period of time. Again, 30-minute sessions. We're not even to the 20-minute mark that you would see for the beginning of Q1. And in this race, we do not have to worry about drivers getting eliminated whatsoever. This is a lot more, not quite laid back, but a lot more relaxed session, in the sense that you can make some mistakes early on in the first 15, maybe even 20 minutes, and still not be in a really, really bad position. So here's XRL Azda as he's going ahead and pulling in after he also hasn't validated his lap. That means there's only one car on track right now. That's Atui. Atui is currently on his outlap and he spins! And he's going to plow the inside wall, and that's going to give some damage to that front wing. So he will definitely have to come in. One of the front wing end plates is missing. And Atui is a little bit too aggressive in that large, sweeping, not quite corner, but another very technical section of the circuit. A little bit of a mishap has caused his car to go around, oversteered into the inside wall, damages the front wing. We are beginning to see more drivers come onto the circuit now. This is LDT Davi, who is now on that long back straightaway, trying to warm everything up. He's on his outlap right now. A few other drivers are apparently joining. They've misqualified. I'll be interested to see if they will be allowed into the race itself. A little bit farther back on the field, here's Elfin Starfish, as he is now basically at the apex height of the circuit and is now beginning the gradual descent that forms over about the next kilometer or so of the circuit. Going through the corner with no name here. Little run, not quite straight, and invalidates. Again, outlap, don't have to worry too much about invalidating outlap, obviously, as he's taking the run down. This is the one of the more difficult to set up for a corner. It's not quite as difficult as the Al Rouge Rodillion complex, but it's definitely very hard to keep the car fast and legal through those corners. But right now, Elfin Starfish looks like he's in a decent position, just in an outlap, warming up, getting ready for the race itself, and getting ready for an actual qualifying attempt. Here is XRL Azda. He's following XRL Sack right now. Sack is one of only 2 drivers at the moment who have set down legal lap times, and even then there's a range of about 2.6 seconds between those times, so we will definitely see a lot of variance going forward. Ooh, a little sideways, a bit of a rear end twitch for Mazda there as he's pushing really hard down to not quite a straight, but comparable to a straight here. Very, very brief. Nope, he's not even going to let up. The car is very well dialed up and will go full bore through that high-speed little bend. And coming to the line, again, we're going to try and ride on board Azda silently so you can hear what it's like a full lap here at Spa. line. He invalidates it in the last potential corner. But Ozda was on pace for a decent time, 157.772. That would have put him third on the timesheets. Elfin Starfish and XRL Ozola and LDT Davi have all set times now. So we are now at 5 drivers who have set times here. Here's Atui now, as he has exited the Rodillion corners. As now on the full bore run down the back straightaway, he will overtake Elfin Starfish, and Starfish is cooling down after saying his lap at 157.308. Atui here, trying to put down a lap here. Still a little bit more than halfway through the session at the moment. As of now, XRL Sack still has the best time on the circuit right now, and someone has pulled off up here, and that is Ozda, who has come not quite to a stop, but pretty close to a stop there. That's not exactly the greatest place to come to a stop. I mean, it's not blind, but alright, he is beginning to move underway now. Here is Waddington. He has invalidated his lap. Here we are. 2 new times have been set. One of them by Waddington's teammate, for this race at least, Ollie. As XRL Ollie has set a time of 157.502. So the bar has been basically set. The ideal range that you want to get to is within the 157 mark, it appears. Davi, Patriot, and Zola all have several seconds that they can take off before they can get to that level. Here's Atui as he's coming around the final corner. He's clean, so at the line, Atui will set down a new time. And there it is, 157.541. Very comparable to the other drivers. And this is a very fast track, but it's also very large. One of the larger circuits on the Formula 1 calendar. Here's Ultimate now. He's already about to exit Sector 2, enter Sector 3. One more significant corner. And now from here to the end, well, here until the chicane at least, it's full bore, assuming that car is properly set up. Here we are, out of the chicane, and Ultimate will be the 10th driver to put a time down. It's good enough for 4th, 157.504, so it gets 2 thousandths off of what XRL Ollie said earlier. Here's Waddington. He is in position to set down a new time. Still clean, still good. So yes, Waddington will be the 11th driver to set a lap time here. On the medium tire compounds, goes up to 3rd, 157.309, just a thousandth off of Starfish's time. This is Beard Boost, winner of multiple races and likely to be champion in the X2 division. Currently on his outlap. In fact, it's going to be a little while until we see brand new times, because Ozda, Beard Boost, and Snake are all on outlaps right now. Beard Boost, assuming he does not invalidate his time, will be the first one of those 3 to put down times. And then you also have Kinsey Retro, who has not yet left the pits. I'm not exactly 100% sure why, but he has not left yet by the looks of it. Runs wide, does not invalidate the lap, but he definitely loses time by jumping off the throttle to try and keep the lap legal. So even if Beard Boost sets the time this lap, in fact, it looks like he may have abandoned already, realizing that running wide has invalidated not the lap, but invalidating any time of having a competitive lap. And one of our pinker cars, that is Waddington, has pulled over here. Not 100% sure what's going on here. He's going to move aside to let Ozda through. It looks like the car may be out of fuel. He may have pushed it a little too hard. And hopefully he can keep the track clear enough for the other drivers. Here's Beard Boost coming through. He will come up onto Waddington sooner rather than later. Waddington has pulled off the circuit though, so it should not be too much of a hassle for Beard Boost. Here is Snake, as he is regaining the gradual downhill descent. But real quickly, once again I want to focus on Beard Boost. He's coming into the chicane, assuming nothing gets invalidated. He will be the 12th driver to set a lap time, and his lap time will be 2:04.562. Obviously, a lot of time can be gained on that. He lost a lot of time after making a mistake at the top of Al Rouge, and then let off on the straightaway. Needs to take off about 7 seconds, but if he can keep it good and straight through here in that Carlin car, he should be able to do it. No real issue that time by. He's got the DRS open here. Meanwhile, a little bit farther back, here's XRL Snake. Again, Waddington pretty much out of fuel, but he's not on the racing line. He's off in the grass. Should not serve to be an issue. And Snake will come across the line, will be the next driver to set a time. Enough for 5th, 157.460. That is the highest of everyone who has set a time thus far on the softs. Meanwhile, here's Ozda. Has yet to set a time. Came extremely close earlier, but invalidated it, cutting the curb in the very last bit of the chicane. Has a serious chance of possibly putting down a lap. Maybe not a competitive lap, but a lap in general here. And at the line, his time is good enough for 10th, 157.767. So that leaves Kinsey Retro, who has still not left the pit, as the only driver to have not set a time, and there's still about 9 minutes left in the session. Now is the point where we'll see the guys like Beard Boost, Davi, Patriot, Zola all working to take time off. Beard Boost obviously in a very good position. It says he's already 8 seconds up. So at the line, Beard Boost's new time right to the top, 156.050. That's a full second and 100th better than Sack. So Beard Boost has now just put a brand new bar for everyone to chase. Oh, and that's someone spun around right in front of him. That's Davi. Davi has turned himself around, coming out of the pit lane. A little three-point turn. Thankfully, no one else was there. It looks like he spun the car coming out of the pits. The exit from the pits here at Spa is a little bit awkward. You basically get spat onto the track at almost a 90-degree angle to the racing line. Definitely one of the more treacherous pit lane exits on the entire schedule. Here's Patriot. Patriot is now gaining another lap. His prior lap did not see any significant improvement. He's going to try and improve here. And here's Kinsey Retro. Kinsey finally out on an out lap. He will attempt to improve. Your primary broadcaster for X1 races. Get to see what he gets to do in an F2 car. That's Ledger, who has pulled over to enable Retro to sneak on by and have cleaner track ahead of him. Patriot has pulled over here at the end of the straight, so that way he can maximize his ability to have clean. No, actually, he's out of fuel. He ran a lap, and he's on a second lap, but he's pretty much out of fuel, and it's going to be a very, very slow, painful coast around the circuit here before he can get more fuel in the car. a lot of drivers running very, very slow when... Oh, and Azda has gone around here off the circuit in some of the last sections of the track. Trying to keep the track clean there for Davi. And there he is entering, along with... What in the... That's Ultimate. Yeah, Ultimate and Ledger. Here's Ledger. It looks like he's gotten around. I can't tell if he made contact with Ultimate. Both of those cars were off circuit there. I think the two of them may have gotten into each other. I've not seen any significant damage as of now on Ledger's car. That was on his outlap. He's got sideways. Hopefully it will still count him as clean so he can set at least one good lap time and see if he can't improve. Waddington is out right now attempting to improve his lap. And here's Kinsey Retro. Already on that nice long back straightaway. Purple sector 133.121 seconds. The rear end looks a little bit slidey on that car for now, and Waddington has gone around, and Waddington has actually totaled his car with Ultimate. We should see what happened to him shortly here. Oh, and that car is still on the racing line as well. That's very, very terrifying there. That is Sack. Sack, it looks like he's avoided whatever happened to Waddington. Horrible, horrible news there, and right in the middle of the racing line in a downhill section. So we now have 3 drivers who have dropped out. Tino Farah and XRL Whippy both drop out before being able to set times. And here we come. At the line, Retro will be the last driver to set a time today. 158.061, not the greatest, but it is a time, and that's better than nothing. Here comes Zola. And the number 9 car, Zola, will he improve? Does not appear so. But Ultimate has made a significant improvement. He has gone up to 56.281. So that leaves Davi right now as the only driver to still be in the 2-minute range. Now, when I saw him at the line, it said that at the end of Sector 2, he was only about 4/10 up, so he needs to somehow get another 2.5 to 3.5 seconds somewhere in these final 2 sectors. It also says that he's going to be running very low on fuel relatively soon. He's also on his 3rd lap as well, so I'd be interested to see if he's even going to be able to go full bore to the end here. There we are, a 1.5 seconds up out of Sector 2, and now into Sector 3. Davi trying to get out of the 2-minute club and get down a little bit. He and Patriot right now in those blue cars are the 2 slowest of everyone who have set times thus far. Patriot's still in the pits though, and with about a little bit more than 2.5 minutes left in the session, it's going to be very difficult for Patriot to improve. I don't think he'll be able to. But at the line, Davi, 158.173, so it is an improvement. But he's going to be pretty much out of fuel. It's going to be a very long, slow run around the circuit here now. Meanwhile, here's Zola, 158.751. One of 3 drivers who are in the 158 range right now. Ottawa has improved to 157.387. Zola does improve 158.536. However, the improvement is not enough to get him ahead of Davi or Kinsey. Here's Davi. Again, out of fuel pretty much, so he's going at a much, much slower pace. And Kinsey's still in the pits. It's not likely he's going to be able to improve. This is XRL Ollie. Now, this is not a good lap for him. As you can see, he's already got more than 2 minutes on the section. He's just trying to get around so he can start up a brand new lap sooner rather than later. Here's Snake as he is rounding the corner. 157.461 was his most recent time, so just 1,000 slower than his best lap thus far. And the interesting part, though, in my opinion, is Elfin Starfish. He is the only driver thus far of everyone to have set his best time on the medium tire compounds right now. By the looks of it, everyone else is running softs at the moment. Davi trying to stay out of the way as he has actually damaged the front wing, the front nose, and the front suspension of that car. He's trying to stay out of the way and keep the laps clean for the drivers around him at the moment. It's going to be a very, very difficult run. Meanwhile, as we focus back on Ollie here. And Ultimate has decided to drop out of the session. He is satisfied with his 156.281. This is Snake. Snake, it says that he's a second slower already. Time has concluded, so Snake will not improve on his time. Ledger got by just at the last moment, so he will have a chance still to improve. Sack to the top, 155.768. So impressive job by him. Ottawi has jumped into the pits. Here's Ledger. He's going to come across the line. Or no, he's actually abandoning. He is going to pit. So then the question falls to Ollie. Will Ollie be able to improve? 9th on the timesheets right now. Coming down to it at the line. 3, 54, 55, 56. That's good enough for 4th. 56.298. And now here is Zola. Out of fuel. Davi, damaged car. Hopefully these two will be out of the way in time. Actually, that's everyone. Yep, that is everyone. So our session has basically concluded. We're just waiting for Zola and Davi to cross the line here. I mean, not cross the line, but come to the pits. Here's Zola, and Davi should be joining him shortly. It's been a very, very slow run for Davi this lap. Out of fuel, damaged front wing. He will complete the lap after spending nearly 4 minutes on it, but he is coming into the pits, and that's the important part. And when he does, that will officially mean that our session has concluded. So 15 of the 17 drivers were able to put down laps. Whippy and Tino Farah both crashed out of the session relatively early. And this is what your grid looks like for a race. Starfish and Waddington will be on the medium tire compounds, as will Patriot. Tino Farah and Whippy did not set a time whatsoever. And these are the tire compounds that all these drivers will have in the sprint race. That comes later, because there will be 2 races for this. We'll be doing a 50% length feature race with 1 mandatory pit stop in the middle, and then a 50% length sprint race, which will have no mandatory stops. What you start out is what you run that entire session. But congratulations to XRL Sack. Thing is with Sack, though, he does have a penalty, so he will not be starting first. He will be starting 5th instead, down there with Ledger and Starfish. So it will actually be Beard Boost and the Carlin car that will have the pole position, the pretty much official pole position here at Belgium. Again, nothing really intense from us in the broadcasting booth right now. Just kind of a little bit more relax and chill event. This isn't a super high-strung series. It's more of a proof of concept kind of event, if you want to look at it like that. But anyway, 17 drivers lined up. And for Whitby and Tino Farr, it's going to be very difficult for them because they didn't even have the entirety of the 30-minute session to not even set a time, but even get familiar with how the cars are supposed to be. And it looks like they're having a little bit of a car rave there out there on the starting grid. Boing, 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 boing. A lot more boing boings than Russia will ever have. So, anyways, just waiting for the track to be properly loaded up and for everyone to ready up for the event. So right now we're just in a little bit of a standby mode. Still standing by for the moment until we get race underway here. Also of note, once the main event, or not main event, but our feature event, I guess we call it, our feature event ends, the top 8 will have their grid positions reversed, and then they will go underway for the race itself. So we will not only be focusing on the race win, we will also be focusing on the battle for 8th and 9th positions. 9th doesn't get to be any higher than 9th, but 8th will basically end up taking home the top spot for the sprint race. Cars are still having a rave out there on the lineup. There we are, as our drivers now beginning to finally ready up. Patriot, Waddington, Snake, Ozda, Ledger, Sack, Otto. Everyone's finally beginning to ready up, and we should be underway sooner rather than later. When about 3 drivers, including our pole sitter for this event, Beard Boost. Alright, and here we are. No pace lap, it's going to be right underway. And it's lights out, and away we go here at Spa-de-Francorchamps. Relatively clean start as Beard Boost right off the line immediately picks up the top spot, but Starfish and Ledger are having their own little battle here. Starfish will close down in front of Ledger. Runs really wide though at the top of the hill, and that was Ultimate. Ultimate goes off the circuit right in front of everyone else, but no one else caught up in it. So Ultimate gets really sideways there, but he is back underway. It does not look like there's any significant damage to that car, so now he just needs to put his head down and focus on improvements. A little bit farther up, here is Deadger, and Deadger is going to spin out as he was fighting with Davi there. Now Deadger is going to go around, and he is going to fall behind Ultimate. He will drop to the last position, and on those soft tires, now he will have a lot of clean air, but once he finally catches his drivers ahead, it's going to be really difficult for him to actually make anything happen. It's a little bit farther up in the field. Tino Farah and Whippy in Team Cars, Trident Team Cars, both have worked their way up into 12th and 13th position, although Tino Farah is having a little bit of issue with connections, apparently, as that car is going through a little bit of lagging. Meanwhile, back at the front of the field, Ledger and Starfish continue their little fight. Here's Ledger. On the inside of Starfish, Ollie is right there ready to capitalize if one of these two put a wheel on, as is Sack. In fact, riding on board with Sack here. You can see how close this battle is for second, third, fourth. And while this is happening, Beard Boost is gaining the chance to walk off and walk away with this. And it's the yellow flag back there in sector 3, and that is Ozda. Ozda, who has gone off the circuit there. But anyways, back to this battle here. Sack and Ollie are fighting. Ledger and Starfish are fighting. Coming out of the final chicane, powered down at the line. Here comes Waddington. Waddington is trying to take the position from his teammate, Ollie. Starfish and Ledger still neck and neck up there. Sack has finally broken away from his battle. But this is going to be where it gets interesting. Starfish ahead of Ledger. Who's going to let off going uphill? Neither of them are laying off. They're staying in it all four. Starfish is going to slide ahead of Ledger at the last possible second. And not last possible. Oh, here we come. Now Ledger is on the way back. Neck and neck, and Ledger moves back in front with a little bit of help from the draft on the straightaway. Sack is right there, ready to capitalize. Ultimate, his teammate, has already worked his way back up into the 13th position. So after a little bit of a mistake earlier on, Ultimate has a chance to maybe get back into the points-paying positions. Starfish runs wide, going downhill, and that moves Sack up into the 3rd position. Now here comes Waddington. Waddington's trying to hold off Ottawi here. And Ottawi going around the outside. It looks like he will move ahead of Waddington. So move Ottawi up into the 5th position for... No, that's not Ottawi. That's Starfish. Sorry. So move Starfish into the 4th position. Oh, and a little bit of bump from on Ottawi, though, from Ollie. Now Ollie's falling right back behind. These two will be in each other's draft down most of the straight. However, it's not exactly the most ideal straight. And someone, that is Kinsey, I believe. Who is that? Oh, here's Kinsey and Davi having a fight, but someone had a little bit of a mistake there entering Sector 3. Now Kinsey Retro has fallen off the back. Meanwhile, back at the front of the field. Oh, and it looks like Starfish will be your first driver to take home a penalty today. Time penalty warning. Time penalty for violating the track limits multiple times. Here's Starfish, though. He's right there behind Sack. DRS opens. So we will have a DRS assisted overtake on Sack here going down the straight. The real interesting one will be Waddington, as he had DRS as well. And Davi also now has a time penalty. But Davi is now right there Sack a little bit twitchy as he puts the power down. That's going to spin him a little bit towards the inside. But he's still there. He's still fighting with Starfish for the moment. Starfish and Sack. A little bit of side-by-side action there as Dedger has gone off now at the end of the straight. Sack falling back now. Fighting with Waddington, trying to stay in the top 4. Nope, moves Sack down into the 5th position. As for Dedger, though, it's not looking good for him. You can see front wing damage on that car. Not to mention he already has time penalty, so it looks like it's going to be very, very difficult for him. Meanwhile, continuing to watch this crazy train, Sack on the back of Starfish, on the back of Waddington, on the back of Starfish, and all 3 of these drivers in DRS striking zone of each other. But of note, Starfish has a penalty while Waddington and Sack right now do not. Here comes Sack. He's looking on the outside of Waddington, trying to just get some cleaner air on the nose of that car. Now he's going to try and capitalize on it, make it into an overtake attempt. No, not able to make it stick. Ultimate now has a time penalty. Oh, and here comes Ollie, and Ollie shoots onto the inside. Ollie's starting to drop off the back of this just a little bit. This is going to be where it gets interesting, folks. While here's Waddington, he's got DRS on Starfish, and Ledger now has. Oh, and Beard Boost has gone. Beard Boost and Ledger are now in their own little fight. And Beard Boost, he's the only one of these two, though, who does not have a time penalty. But Ledger is just trying to get ahead of him so he can outrun him and outrun the time penalty. As our leaders side by side here, right down to the corner with no name. Beard Boost on the outside. He will cut down in front of Ledger for the moment. Ledger coming back, trying to see if there's a little bit of open track here. These cars are a little bit smaller, not quite as nimble, but a little bit smaller than what you have in a Formula 1 car, so that means a lot more of the track is open for potential overtaking opportunities. And Davi has had something happen to him. He has gone around back there at the bottom of the hill. Oh, wow, don't merge back into the traffic like that, Davi, please. Looks like he's going to be back underway, but he has fallen back into the 15th position after a little spin. No damage on the car. On those soft tire compounds, he's definitely not going to be feeling very happy. Meanwhile, Patriot and Whippy are having their own little spat. Whippy has come out ahead. But our real focus... Oh, and that's... Tino Farah has gone off the circuit. But meanwhile, our real focus is on our Battlefield lead. Beard Boost and Ledger going at it as they round that hairpin turn 1 and begin the run down the hill once more. Ledger should have DRS open, but the question is he going to be close enough to make DRS and turn the DRS ability into an overtake opportunity? He's right there. He's on the outside, and coming down to it, they're going to be neck and neck through the chicanes, side by side. Neither driver having a clean advantage yet. Oh, Beard Boost puts the power down, gets a little bit squirrely, and that's going to spit him out behind Ledger. However, again, Ledger still has a time penalty. Now Ozda gets a time penalty. We're seeing more time penalties than not here at this rate. Now the question is, will Waddington be in a position to maybe work something on Beard Boost? Meanwhile, Sack and Starfish continuing a little spat between the two of them just behind Ollie. Oh, and that is Waddington! Waddington has turned it into the outside wall there in Sector 2. He's backed off of the circuit for now. Significant front wing damage, and this is not going to go good for him. Standing by for the moment as more drivers are coming up. Here's a battle with Whippy and Patriot. Snake's gonna come by. Here's Davi and Azda. And Davi is gonna get sideways. Davi's sideways, and he knocks into Azda, and now Davi spins himself out. As Davi got sideways, and Waddington has been disqualified from the session, and now something has happened to Ottawi. Ottawi has totaled the car there. There is no front tire left on that machine. Everything has just gone into complete chaos here, as 2 drivers have now been dropped out of the session. Ottawi, who was in the top 8, top 10 actually, now gets dropped out of the session. We are under a virtual safety car. Not good for this driver here, Beard Boost. He was right in a position to potentially set up for another overtake on Ledger. Now he has to hold a gap. But we should be under green sooner rather than later, as both of our cars have been removed. And yes, Elephant Starfish, though, now has a drive-through penalty, and he is 4th on the lineup. So he's going to lose a lot of positions when that happens as well. So chaos absolutely tearing through the field here. As Frogger Thompson, we're just a little bit shy of halfway here. Actually, I'd say we're about halfway. We're just about halfway through the lap. Tino Farah back there in 16th finally got underway again. Here's Dedger. We're starting to see a little bit of a spread in the field, except in the top 4, as Starfish, Ollie, and Beard Boost are all now within spitting distance of each other. But of note, of those 4 drivers, Beard Boost is the only one who still has no penalties. And that will definitely serve to benefit him significantly as we go forward. Looks like and Ledger is going to go ahead and jump into the pits. So that means that, who else is going to join him? That's the real question. Here's Kinsey Retro. Will he jump into the pits? No, he will not. Ultimate's the next question. Again, that's native. So Ledger, on the softs, he was the first driver to jump into the pits. So for Ledger, for Starfish, I'm a little bit interested because those softs are going to start wearing away. He needs to jump onto the medium sooner rather than later. You can see he's now under attack from XRL Sack. Hey, that was a rhyme. Because those mediums are still within operating ability. Sack's going on the outside here of Starfish. Gets by without too much of an issue. Davi has also gone ahead and jumped into the pits as well. Farah had pitted the prior lap. Beard Boost, though, still out in front, and still one of only 2 drivers in the front who have not had to worry about time penalties. Starfish came really, really close to hitting that outside wall there. In fact, I think he may have. There's some damage to the front wing on that car, actually. I think he knocked the end plate off, going through the corner with no name there. He ran extremely wide. He needs to be careful so he doesn't lose too much time compared to the top 3 behind him, or to Kinsey Retro who's behind him. Although, to be fair, Retro is, by the looks of it, in the better part, 4 seconds out. So for Starfish, and here we are, another little battle is going on. Whippy is catching Snake. Trying to make a little something happen here. He's within a second now. Davi briefly had an incident there in second 2, but he's back underway. So the temporary yellows are removed. Here we are, Elfin Starfish has jumped into the pit lane. And with that in mind, now the question is going to be, when will the drivers on the medium tire compounds jump in and swap to the softs? Patriot just outside striking distance of Whippy, and Whippy trying to see if he can make something happen on Snake ahead of him. Patriot now within a second of Whippy here. So he may have DRS on Whippy once we get onto the straight after Dillion. And there it is. It opens up, so Patriot is going to gain a little bit of time on the drivers ahead of him. Meanwhile, back at the front, Kinsey Retro is now up into the 4th position. Sack, he's in 3rd. He's dropped off the back of Ollie, as Ollie is now beginning to run down our leader, Beard Boost, here. Within striking distance. They were leaving Sack in the background, but again, Ollie has a time penalty. Beard Boost does not. Now Ledger has a time penalty. In fact, there are only about 5 drivers left on the circuit who do not have time penalties at this point. And there we are. Beard Boost is going to jump into the pits, and that will deny Ollie of a chance of getting DRS the next time around. So, small, smart strategy from Beard Boost. He'll be one of the first drivers to pit from the medium tire compounds. And now Ultimate is going to join him as well. Here's Snake. Patriot and Whippy have basically ended their battle. There's a little bit of a gap that's formed between them. In fact, a lot of little gaps have now formed on the circuit, but Sack has caught what looks to be Tino Farah, and Farah is going to use the DRS attempt, wanting to try and get back on the lead lap. Or at least stay even with Sack, so once Sack and Ollie pits, Tino's chance of being on the lead lap is increased. And that's Davi, who has gone around. He has spun himself out and now damages the front wing. So he's trying desperately to get facing the correct way sooner rather than later. But significant damage to the front end of Davi's car. I'm having trouble figuring out what he's trying to do here. Puts the power down way too aggressively and spins out again now. Meanwhile, here's Sack. About 2.2 seconds off from Ollie, but again, Sack does not have a time penalty. Ollie does. Both gonna get by Davi without too much of an issue. Davi just kind of stalled there on the race circuit. Here we are. Davi is now beginning to get underway here. So Ollie and Sack are now pitting, so now the question is, when will Kinsey pit? And Davi has retired from the session. But when will Kinsey pit? He's going another lap, but we're under virtual safety car. This is Ledger. Staying another lap, as will Beard Boost, but Beard Boost, again, he's already made his stop. As is Ledger. Ledger and Beard Boost both have made their stops. This could end up becoming the battle for the win here, sooner rather than later. But of note, Ollie and Retro, well, Ollie primarily, Ollie and Sack in a very good position. Both of them ended up ahead of Ledger and Beard Boost, and they're on the softs. So they may be in a position to take home a potential win here. Ooh, and Zola has been involved in a collision with another driver. Ozza has come to the pits. Ozza now has a penalty for speed in the pit lane. Whippy's looking to be in a decent position. He's outside of the points pay positions for now, but if he keeps his nose clean by virtue of not having penalties, he might end up gaining points. Meanwhile, here's Sack, one of only 2 drivers at the front who do not have any penalty points yet. And once Kinsey Retro pits, Ollie is going to inherit the lead, but Sack will basically inherit second. that is assuming that Ledger and Beard Boost don't make anything happen. Again, Beard Boost on soft tire compounds, he's going to have a little bit more speed than Ledger ahead of him. Not for as long of a period of time, but with only about 3.5 laps in the session, I imagine those tires will hold out for that period. A little bit farther back, Snake and Ozda having a little spat of their own for the 10th position. And here's the other thing to keep track of. Starfish, he's currently by himself on the circuit, 8th on the board. If he stays where he is, he will inherit the pole position for the sprint race that comes after this. Retro has gone ahead and made his pit stop, so now it is all down to Sack and Ollie as Ledger and Beard Boost. Ledger is coming to the pits, actually. So Beard Boost now in 3rd. But he's 2.4 seconds off of Sack, and Beard Boost has a time penalty. Sack does not. The real question is going to be, what is the difference going to be? Oop. Race director, incidents. Race director. I want to see our leader right now. View gamer. No, not view gamer card. Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the most familiar with the UI in this game still. So I can't tell you how big of the penalty is that Ollie has in regards to Sack. But if it's 3 seconds like I anticipated, then Ollie still is in a decent position. Sack needs to close the gap down just a bit. A little bit of a battle for 10th and 11th. Still continuing here between Snake and Ozda. But of note, Snake will have DRS when we enter the straight here. Is definitely close enough to Ozda to make it work if he doesn't go wide like that. And now Starfish has a penalty for track violations. Snake made a little bit of a hiccup there, coming up to the top of the Auru-Dillion complex. And spat the car wide. He was able to keep control of it, but it's knocked him off the back of Ozda just a bit. He's starting to run him back down now, though. Would be about 4 seconds out from Patriot. Patriot, again, has a time penalty, so if Whippy can close the gap just a bit, Whippy may end up with that 8th position. Patriot right now in position to take home the pole. Meanwhile, here's Kinsey Retro. He can see what looks to be Ledger just a little bit up ahead. If Retro can run down Ledger, Retro might be able to get 4th. Excuse me. Only 4 drivers thus far do not have time penalties. But of note, Sack is dropping off the back of Ollie faster more than anything else. So that time penalty very likely will go, will basically go away in the end, because the gap between Ollie and Sack just continues to grow here with a lap and a half left in the session. Ozda and Snake continuing their spat for the 10th position here. Oh, and Whippy! Whippy has crashed out there at the top of the Auru-Dillion complex. We'll see him as we go by here. He is off the circuit well enough, so he won't be in harm's way for anyone else, but it's definitely going to make things a little bit difficult. This is really the only serious battle on the track right now between Snake and Ozda. As our leader, XRL Ollie, is going to be coming across the line right about now, and that will start our final lap of the race. Basically, everyone else has a gap of about 3 seconds or more between them and everyone else. Kinsey Retro is within 1.8 seconds of Ledger, though, won't be able to battle him on track, but Retro in position to inherit 4th by virtue of not having penalties. In a similar vein here, this battle, and Ozza's connection is timed out apparently. And now Zola has a time penalty for track violations. But as I was saying, Snake will probably end up inheriting 9th here regardless, simply because Ozza has a time penalty, Snake does not. This is our race leader, and more than likely soon to be race winner here, XRL Ollie. And assuming the penalty he has is not more than 3 seconds, not more than 3.5 seconds, he will take home the win here. Sack has kept his nose clean and he'll come home second. And Ozda has been disqualified from the session as he has not used the required tire compounds for the race. So with Ozda disqualified from the session along with Waddington, that moves Ultimate up by default into the 10th position when it comes to points. Very poor strategy choice from Ozda there. And the battle for 8th concludes with it being Patriot, who will end up being on the pole for the sprint race that will come shortly after this one. But this is our race leader, XRL Ollie, 3.5 seconds ahead of Sack. He will cross the line, and here comes Sack. And nope, the penalty was 5 seconds for Ollie, so Sack is your winner. So XRL Sack is going to win here at Spa. This is Beard Boost. He will come home 3rd after starting on the top. A little bit of a decline, but still a respectable run. This is XRL Ledger. And Kinsey Retro has closed in to him. In fact, Retro and Ledger are going to have a little bit of a drag race, but it won't matter. Retro easily will get by Ledger. So Retro gets 4th and Ledger 5th. Now here comes Zola. And across the line, Zola will finish in the 6th position here. And this is Elfin Starfish, who will come across 7th. 8th will be XRL Patriot, and like I said, he will inherit the pole for the sprint races, the top 8. No, that's going to be Starfish, actually. Because Starfish had enough penalties that will drop behind Patriot, so Starfish will end up with the pole for the race. And now here's XRL Snake. No penalties for Snake. Kept it clean most of the day, and he will come home 9th. And here's Ultimate, and he will round out the top 10 with a 10th place finish. 11th is going to go to Dedger, who had some incidents earlier in the day. But the car is still there. Cars together. Didn't do anything to get him disqualified. Kept the car all together, and he will finish the race. And that in itself has got to be a little bit of a relief for Dedger. And then here's Tino Farah, newcomer to the XRL division overall. Tino coming out of the chicane will conclude our race here. But this is your race winner, XRL Sack, by virtue of avoiding all penalties and staying within striking distance of our leader. He will win our feature-length race here at Spa-Francorchamps. And now the question is, will he be able to win the sprint race all the way from 8th or not? So here we are. This is the end result for the race. 6-second penalty for Ollie, ended up dropping him behind Sack, so Sack ends up being your race winner. Beard Boost finishes 3rd, Retro 4th, Ledger 5th, Zola 6th, Patriot 7th, Elfin Starfish 8th, Snake 9th, Ultimate 10th, Dedger 11th, Tino Farah 12th, Whippy 13th, Davi 14th, And then Ottawa 15th, Ozda and Washington get disqualified, will get no points. And that means that Ultimate will round out and he will take home a point for today's race. Congratulations to him. And that means that Elf and Starfish will get the top spot for our sprint race. Also, congratulations to Sack. He also ended up taking the pole position points-wise, although he didn't start on the pole because he had a penalty in qualifying that forced him to start lower down. But he has 29 points overall from the weekend. But there's still the sprint race to come up shortly. And in the sprint race, they run the same tire compounds, the exact same tire compounds that they had in qualifying, that they set their fastest laps on in qualifying. So we could see a lot of interest there. It'll be a much, much shorter race, to say the least, but it could be interesting in its own right. Car's having another little boing boing rave out there on the grid right now. But again, if you guys are interested in the X2 series and you want to show your support, just continue to tune in whenever X2 races are held. I believe we'll probably have about a 2-week break. As all series in XRL, I believe we're actually anticipated to have a 2-week break after this weekend. But afterwards, do come back and try to check out any races that are aired about this time on any of the XRL channels, whether it be the Extremer League channel here or the other XRL channels. That's normally where they are. And if you want to show support to the series, show that, yeah, I actually do want to see more, best way you can do is by showing up, telling your friends, and giving them good watch time when it comes to the races themselves. Just stand by, waiting for everyone to properly load up, ready up to get before we get underway. Big oof for LDT, Davi, and XRL Ozda both getting disqualified. Davi, I believe, for not being able to get his car moving properly and safely off the racing circuit when he crashed, and then Ozda for not using the required tire compounds in the race. So those of you who are watching, thank you for joining us. And whether you're watching live or you're tuning into this race later on, still want to give you thanks for being willing to show up and check out a newer, more of a conceptual series right now. Don't know yet if this is going to end up being an official league or not. This is more of according to the XRL officials overall, this series right now is under kind of a testing session, trying to see if there is significant interest and ability to run this as its own sanctioned league, along with the XRL X1, X2, X3, the 5-lap knockouts, the driver development league, etc., etc. All right, it's lights out, and the sprint race is underway here at Spa-Francorchamps. Oh, and that is one of the Renaults, really, really wide back there. But this is your leader, Elfin Starfish, for the moment. But Patriot and Kinsey having a little spat of their own there, going up the hill, and that's Patriot, who's going to run extremely wide. He's going to make contact, and he's going to slam the inside wall and come all the way across the track, and that's going to be a huge impact! And Patriot and Edgar both get destroyed there! You saw it right here on the stream, folks! And that's Sack, who's also been involved in an incident. Sack, and so Sack as well gets turned around in the chaos there. So Sack and Patriot had their own, so Sack and Ozda get involved in their own separate incident. So Patriot and Dedgar crash coming up the hill, and then to avoid Sack and Ozda get into it with each other. So 3 drivers already knocked out here right at the start of our sprint race. Now we should be back underway sooner rather than later, but still an absolute travesty for all involved. As Kinsey Retro and XRL Patriot were fighting, Patriot ran wide off the racing line, tried to merge back in, ended up hitting Retro in the side, turned around, went to the outside wall, bounced off of that, and came all the way across the track right in front of Dedgar 1988, totaling their cars. And then Sack and Ozda wrecked trying to avoid it, and that took Ozda out of the race, and Sack may have to stop as well. And it looks like there may be something wrong on Davi's car. I think Davi may have a bad tire. We are back underway though. Green flag once again here at Spa. So still about 8.5 laps of outright racing. And our top 2 have opened up a small little gap. Kinsey Retro though has to hold off Ollie and Beard Boost. Beard Boost's gonna sit right in there. Beard Boost's not gonna be happy with that. Now there's a 3-wide little spat right here, and now that's Ledger, and Ledger has gotten spun. And now Ledger drops out of the top positions all the way down to 13th after getting turned there. Ultimate has to go ahead and pit. Here's Snake. Snake having a little bit of trouble putting the power down properly. Meanwhile, it's a little bit further back. Waddington and Beard Boost in a fight for the 5th position. We anticipate DRS will open up the following lap. I really do not feel confident with Davi there. Davi, his car, it seems to be stuck in first gear or something like that. At least according to the wheel, it says that his car is stuck in first gear. As we look at his telemetry right now, a significant mechanical issue, and again, one of the rear tires damaged. Gotta be very careful and slow so that way you don't end up tearing up that rear tire and destroying the entire suspension on the way up. But meanwhile, Ollie is trying to work on Kinsey Retro, trying to see if he can make anything happen here. Davi did get out of the racing line in time. Oh wow, Zola and Retro, their little spat got really intense as it looked like Zola went off circuit for a brief second there. But now, 2nd all the way through 5th are right on top of each other. It's going to be really interesting once they go up through the Al Rouge Redealing Complex and then on the straight. DRS has been enabled. So all these drivers will have DRS on each other, with the exception of this guy here in second, Zola. As we look back from Zola's car. That's Beard Boost! Beard Boost has totaled his car! Beard Boost did the same thing that Patriot did. The car went around on him, coming up, out, it went wide. He tried saving it, went right around. And now Beard Boost, who took home third in this feature race, is going to crash out of the sprint race. Zola, that was extremely fortunate for him because Zola was able to maintain second position for just one lap longer, and for Starfish it's even better because that means that all these guys can continue fighting for an extra lap, and it increases his likelihood of being able to stick around for the event, stick around the lead for the rest of this event. Ollie is right there underneath Retro, and he's got his teammate Waddington right behind him. A little bit farther back, here's another battle. Sack trying to work his way up to the field. He's up into 8th right now after getting involved with Azda. And Sack trying to make something happen. Meanwhile, farther up, here you are, Ollie. He's made something happen on Kinsey. Kinsey really made a mistake there in that little fast, full-speed twitch. Now Ottaway's gotten by, Waddington's gotten by. Kinsey's not giving up, but I think his run right now is gone as we're under another virtual safety car. I'm not sure what this is for. We are under a virtual safety car again. I imagine we'll be back underway sooner rather than later, but because I don't see what brought it out. Everyone maintained the same distance for the moment on each other. So a relatively calm feature length race gives way to an extremely chaotic sprint race, and now Whippy gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car, so that's no good for him, obviously. Now Ollie is just out behind Zola, and all this time Starfish has continued to open the gap. The gap is now 4.3 seconds between Starfish and Zola, so even if Ollie gets by Zola, he'll have to do a lot of charging if he wants to catch our leader. Starfish, this race is already about halfway over here. Meanwhile, farther back, this battle for 8th and 9th position. Snake has caught Whippy. Can Snake get by Whippy? Now again, Whippy doesn't have a penalty to serve, but if Snake feels like he has the speed, he might be able to get by Whippy and try to catch up to Tino Farah, who's currently in the 7th position. Meanwhile, here we are, Zola. He has lost to Ollie. He's now fighting with Addington. And if he doesn't make that stick, he might end up losing the position to Ottawi. So those BWT cars very well put together here today, that's for sure. Can they do anything to close down a 5.2 second gap on the leader, Elfin Starfish? Or will they spend most of their time fighting with each other? Waddington will have DRS on Ollie on the straight this time. Trying to make something happen here on his teammate so he can go out and try and catch Starfish, but the gap, Starfish to Ollie, 4.8 seconds here. with about 3.5 laps to go in the race. Now for Starfish, it's been clean sailing. He took the pole, has not really had to worry about anything all day long, but Ultimate, thumbs up to him, fastest lap of the day, 157.980. But he is currently 11th on the time sheets. He needs to get a little bit higher if he wants to earn points for actual finishing positions in this race. Here's the battle for Zola and Atui for the 4th position, and Kinsey is right there also, ready to capitalize. Oh, and Zola completely messed up that corner. Retro's going to go wide to avoid him, but will also pick up the position. And Ollie now has the fastest lap of the day, 157.730. Said there was a yellow flag here for some reason from Ultimate's car. I don't see any reason for that. The gap has close to 4.2 seconds between Starfish and Ollie. Waddington has actually dropped off the back of his teammate just a bit. Oh, and Ultimate has gone around now. So after saving one of the fastest laps of the race, Ultimate spins himself out. No significant damage to the front of the car, but that will bring a very brief yellow just in that sector of the circuit. We're back under a green track, but day's going from bad to worse for Ultimate here. The other driver who's having a day going from bad to worse is Sack. Won the feature length race, 9th in our sprint race. Got involved in an incident with Azda, has not been able to make his way back up to the field very fast since then. And he does have Tino Farah ahead of him, and he might be able to get ahead of Tino Farah by virtue of not having penalties compared to Tino. But after that, it's a 17-second gap between Tino Farah and Snake. Ledger is going ahead and dump it into the pits. But meanwhile, Ollie has closed the gap 3.5 seconds now to our leader, 3.4. The thing is, even if Ollie can catch Starfish, he also has a time penalty he'll have to outrun as well. The best thing Ollie can do is catch Starfish and then try to pressure Starfish into making a mistake that will penalize him. That means the two of them would be a lot more even in time. A little bit farther back, Zola has caught Retro. This is the battle for the 5th spot on the grid. Zola should be close enough that he'll have DRS on Retro going down the straight. As will Sack with Tino Farah more than likely. So yep, there you are. DRS is now open. Zola pulls up right behind Retro, looks to the inside. Not really anything Retro can do on the straight, but he might be able to try and pressure Zola going through the chicane here. It doesn't matter what pressure he puts down though. Zola move him very solidly into the 5th position. The gap between 1st and 2nd, 2.7 seconds now. And that's Ledger, who is actually pulled off the circuit, trying desperately not to end up being a hassle to anyone else on the circuit. He is struggling to keep his car on the track. 2.5 seconds between 1st and 2nd, but again, a time penalty for Ollie means that Ollie needs to pressure our leader into making a mistake, and Ledger! Something has happened to Ledger's car. Oh, and Davi ends up smacking him right in the wall, right in the driver's side. A terrible crash. that was only a yellow flag for Sector 2. We stay green. And the gap between first and second, now 2.1 seconds. With a little bit less than 2 laps to go. Ollie is going to catch Starfish. He needs to pressure Starfish. Needs to make Starfish do something that gives him a penalty. So the two of them will be accurately matched in times. Retro and Zola still close enough to make something happen. If Retro can keep the car straight coming up through here, he will have DRS on Zola. And he does. Davi now has a penalty for speed in the pits. This day going from bad to worse for Davi. No luck in either the feature race or the sprint race. He's there. Retro's right there in the DRS strike zone of Zola, but he can't make anything happen because there's not another DRS zone until you get onto the backstretch pretty much. And he's done it! Starfish now has a time penalty, so it is now a full-on fight between Ollie and Starfish for a lead. The gap, 1.1 seconds, with just a little bit, with about a lap and a half to go. We could have a full-on race for the lead here, folks. This could get very interesting very quickly. 1 second gap, now 0.9 second gap between Starfish and Ollie. Ollie is going to be close enough to have DRS, more than likely, when they get onto the straight. Retro and Snake also are in their own little battle with Zola as well. So there's two different battles going on the circuit right now. Here comes Retro on the inside. Not able to make anything happen, but here's Ollie. Ollie is right underneath the rear wing of Starfish. He's got this DRS just a little bit there on the straight. That was enough to put him up in front of Starfish. So on the last lap, Ollie is going to get ahead of Starfish. What can Starfish do to fight back? He should be close enough that he'll have DRS going down the back straight. But will that be enough? DRS is open. He's closing it down. It's a quarter of a second. It's 1500ths. He's on the outside. They're side by side for the lead. And Ollie gets turned sideways just a little bit. And now Starfish is back in front. And Starfish is going, and that's what? No, Ollie! Ollie has gone off the circuit. Ollie! I thought that was Waddington, but that was Ollie. He took the lead and then pushed it too hard, fighting with Starfish through the chicane, went wide, and wrecked out on the last lap. Probably not going to be able to see his car. His car crashed in a awkward spot that I don't think any of the cameras are going to get a good view of it. So you can kind of see it there for a brief second. But that means that now the question is Waddington close enough that he'll be able to pick up the lead by virtue of Starfish having a penalty? The gap between first and second is 1.7 seconds right now. And there's still the battle between Zola and Kinsey. This one is not shutting down in the slightest, and Davi has wrecked! Davi has wrecked right in front of the leaders! And I think our leader, I saw Starfish bounce off the wall. There's no significant damage to the car, but Waddington got through there a lot smoother. The gap's now about a second between Starfish and Waddington. I think Waddington's gonna win this race by virtue of Starfish having a penalty and his teammate Ollie wrecking out. Coming down to it out of the final corner. It's a second solid between first and second. So Starfish will cross the line first, but yes, Waddington will take home the win, even though he never led a single lap. Otto will come home third, and here we are, Zola and Retro. It's gonna be a drag race. Retro's got the power down on the outside. Retro fourth, Zola fifth. Here comes Snake as he will come down sixth. Sack was able to somewhat recover, but not nearly to the amount he should have. He's gonna come home in the 7th position. And he wrecks his car at the line. Okay, cool. Here comes Tino Farah. Very, very rough day for Tino, but he will get points in the sprint race. I assume they're giving equal points for sprint and feature race. Here comes Whippy, and at the line, Whippy will come home 9th. And now you have Ultimate here. He'll be the last driver to finish the race. For Starfish, though, absolute frustration. He led nearly every lap of this race, except the one that, and even the one, he actually did lead every lap of this race. That's the crazy thing. He led every lap, but Ollie was able to close him down. Starfish made a mistake that gave him a time penalty. Then he ended up fighting with Ollie, and Ollie wrecked himself trying to get by Starfish. Wasn't enough. And then Starfish, although he was ahead of Waddington, he had to avoid another accident ahead of him, and he lost so much time doing that he had no chance of winning. We're going to try and talk with our 2 race winners in a bit here. Standing by for the moment. Don't know why it shows a Renault driver celebrating again when it was not a Renault driver who won the sprint race, but okay. Anyways, as I said, I'm going to try real quickly get our 2 race winners into the party with us. So a very interesting pair of races here. Gonna try real quickly to see if we can talk with either of our winners, either the sprint race winner or the feature race winner. In fact, coming into the party right now, we have A. Waddington, who won our sprint race. Waddington, go ahead, include your audio. Congratulations on your F2 sprint race victory. How, though? How the heck did you pull that off? At one point, you're like 5 seconds off the leader. Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, I can.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead, include your audio, because you're on broadcast right now. Just real quickly, how did you pull off the win there in the sprint race? I don't think anyone would have called you to get that. At one point, you were like 4.5 seconds off the leader. How did you make that work?
I avoided a lot of corners that happened in front of me. The moment on the last lap, I'm not sure who it was, there were a car sideways coming through the final sector. So me and Starfish had to ease off and I had to take avoiding action. So we both lost equally as much time, but I think I would have had him anyway, with him having a 3-second penalty.
Well, you definitely put in the work today, you and your teammate there. For a while, it looked like you and your teammate were going to try and do a little bit of drafting magic to try and DRS magic to try and get up to the lead. Did you back off him just because you weren't able to keep up, or what?
No, he just had pace on me, mate. My tyres weighed 9% more at the start of the race. So I think Ollie were on fresher tyres than me.
Oof. Well, fresher tires in the end sadly didn't do him enough good when it needed it. But anyway, congratulations on your win here in the sprint race. Again, tried to get in contact with Sack, but I'm not having any luck inviting him in to congratulate him.
Boy.
Oh, okay. I didn't see you. Sorry. Xbox didn't flash me a notification when you jumped into the party. So, alright. So, Sack, you got the... Go ahead and include your audio. You got the victory in the feature race. How did you make that happen?
Mainly just stayed out of the trouble. There's a lot of battling going on in the midfield, and when people were trying to send it on me, I just kind of let them go, let them fight it out, and I'd pick up the scraps. So.
You say you picked up the scraps, so it looked more like you picked up a full course meal. You got the pole, although you didn't get a star on the pole. You got the points for the pole position, and you ended up winning the race. So I say that's a lot more than just scraps, mate.
Yeah, it was pretty good race there. I still finished, even with the poor sprint race, I still had the most points on the weekend, so gotta be happy with that. Not sure what happened in turn 1 during the sprint race. Went to go turn in, and I just got flung into the outside. So it's
Yeah, in that case, 2 of the drivers way up in like the top 5 got into each other. There was an accident, and then it looked like you and Ozda were trying to avoid it and got into each other in the process. So it looked like that. I could only see so much myself, though.
Yeah, there was a lot happening there. I'll definitely have to go back and watch that because somebody was definitely in the wrong there. I'm just not sure who.
Sag,
What's up?
let's not talk about what happened in feature racing quality.
Oh yeah, the reason why I have the 5-place grid penalty is because you kamikazed me. Yeah,
I tried tucking up
Oh.
behind to get the slipstream through poo on, and I kind of misjudged it, and my car wouldn't turn out in time.
So you
I just
misjudged
smashed into the back rim and lost my front left tire.
Oh,
And then I
that
get
would
the
explain
penalty.
why. Oh, that would explain it. Because I saw some. That actually explains a lot. Oof. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was completely my error. I completely misjudged it to turn out, and just smashed the back rim.
Ended up being okay though.
Well, yeah, either way, I think in the end you both walked out here with relatively respectful end results. So, once again, congratulations on both of you guys winning here at Spa-Francorchamps in the Formula 2 development race. What events are we going to see you guys in later this week?
I don't know.
X1.
Normal X1. Yeah.
All right, there's your answer, folks. Both of these drivers, X1 veterans, we'll be seeing them in X1 on Sunday on this exact same channel. So go ahead and check that out if you want to see if maybe they can translate their success and fortune from a Formula 2 car into the full-bore Formula 1 leagues. But that's been it for our Formula 2 broadcast here at Spa-Francorchamps. Do either of you two have anything else to say before we wrap up the broadcast?
Congratulations on you winning first race, Zach.
And congratulations on your second one.
All right. Well, despite a little bit of chaos throughout quali and both races, no hard feelings at the end for our 2 race winners. Congratulations to both of you for winning here at Spa-Francorchamps. I've been SaintLear13. Once again, thank you to Extreme Racing Leagues for letting me carry the broadcast here. This has been F2 at Belgium, and we'll see you later in the week. Farewell.